Hi, I'm Catherine Ordway. I'm working with the UC Sports Management team in Sports Studies and I'm lecturing this year. I'm also doing my PhD. I'm working in my second year on sports governance and integrity in sport and looking at the influence that gender equity might have on integrity in sport. My journey to come to UC has been a long one in sport. I've been working for almost 20 years in the sports industry and I started as a sports lawyer. I worked for the Australian Olympic Committee in the lead up to the Sydney 2000 Games, and I was really privileged to work on both sponsorship, trademarks and intellectual property, but also on the anti-doping side. We had to draft 32 anti-doping policies, and I also prosecuted more than 30 athletes in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And at that time I'd done about a third of the world's anti-doping prosecutions. So that was a huge workload and a really fun time, and we learnt a great deal about anti-doping because that was all before the World Anti-Doping Agency came into place. And the World Anti-Doping Code in fact didn't come into place until 2003. So we did a lot of work to set all of that up, and Australia took a very strong leading role. After the Sydney Olympic Games, I went to Norway and I worked in the Norwegian Olympic Committee in the Anti-Doping and Ethics Department. That department then became Anti-Doping Norway, as it is now, and I worked there setting up the Association of National Anti-Doping Organisations, which is now known as INADO. After Norway, I was a bit cold, so I went and warmed up in the Middle East, and I worked in Doha on the 2006 Asian Games for a year and a half. So I did 4 winters in Norway and 2 Ramadans in the Middle East, which I think is really quite a mark of honour to have survived both these things. I decided to have some normality though and came back in 2006 to work with the new Australian Sports Anti-Doping Authority as it was set up from ASDA, the Australian Sports Drug Agency, and I worked there for a year and a half as the Group Director of First Enforcement and then Detection. And we became very interested in intelligence and investigations because the new anti-doping way of working is not just looking at testing, but we're very interested in working with law enforcement. So I did a graduate diploma in investigations management at Charles Sturt University and then decided that I wanted to consult in that area. So I was really lucky. I worked with the UK sport people in setting up their intelligence unit, and I also worked with the Vancouver Games trying to work more closely with law enforcement and the Olympic movement. I also have done quite a lot of consulting on the bid programs for Rio 2016, for the Istanbul 2020, which wasn't successful unfortunately, and now I'm working on Krakow 2022 for the Winter Olympic Games. So I've had a very exciting and varied sports industry career, and I'm really looking forward to this new chapter working in sports lecturing at the Uni of Canberra.